Level 1, the radar operator. You're 22, sitting in the Combat Information Center of the USS Princeton, 100 miles off the coast of San Diego. You have 3 monitors, a headset, and one job. Track aircraft, identify threats, keep the carrier strike group safe. But for 2 weeks now, something's been showing up on your screens that doesn't make sense.
Objects descending from 80,000 feet to sea level in less than a second. No aircraft can do that. Not ours, not theirs, not anyone's.
You report it up the chain. Your supervisor tells you it's probably a glitch, calibration error, system malfunction. But you know your equipment. You've been doing this for 3 years. This isn't a glitch.
November 14th, 2004. The objects appear again. This time, your commander makes a call. Scramble the jets. 2 FA-18 Super Hornets launch from the Nimitz.
You watch on radar as they approach the anomaly. Your heart is pounding. Whatever happens next, you're watching history. You just don't know it yet.
Level 2, the wingman. You're Lieutenant Commander Alex Diedrich. You've flown combat missions. You're not easily rattled. But today, your training exercise just got interrupted.
Princeton radar detected something strange. You and Commander Fravor are being diverted to investigate. You descend from 20,000 feet. Fravor radios you. Do you see that?
You look down. There's something hovering above a disturbance in the water. White, oblong, about 40 feet long. No wings, no exhaust, no rotor wash. It looks like a tic-tac.
You have a weapons system officer in your back seat. 4 sets of trained eyes on this thing for minutes. It's not a balloon, it's not a drone. It's moving with purpose, mirroring Fravor's aircraft. You don't say much. You're watching, recording. Your job is to be the professional observer while Fravor engages. Then it happens. Fravor descends toward the object. It ascends toward him.
They spiral like a dance. Then the tic-tac accelerates. It doesn't turn, it doesn't bank. It just vanishes. Gone. Radar picks it up 60 miles away. Less than a minute. That's impossible.
You land, you file a report. You don't talk about it. Not for years. Level 3, the squadron commander. Your commander, David Fravor. 18 years flying fighters. Top Gun graduate. You've seen everything the sky has to offer. MiGs, weather phenomena, experimental aircraft. You know what's real and what's explainable. This wasn't explainable. You got within half a mile of that object. It had no visible means of propulsion. It moved in ways that defied physics. When you tried to cut it off, it reacted. It knew you were there. And when it left, it didn't just leave, it disappeared. You land, you're debriefed, they take your gun camera footage, they take your statements, they tell you it's classified. You're not to discuss this with anyone outside the chain of command. You go back to your routine. Training, deployments, retirement. But you can't forget. Then, years later, the story goes public. The Pentagon confirms the video is real. Suddenly, you're on television. You're testifying. You're telling the world what happened. Some people call you a hero. Others call you crazy. You don't care. You know what you saw. Level 4, the next wave. You're Lieutenant Ryan Graves. It's 2014. You're an FA-18 Super Hornet pilot stationed on the East Coast. Your squadron just got a radar upgrade. New system, sharper picture, better tracking, and immediately you start detecting objects. Not once, not twice. Every single flight. They're always there. Holding position against high winds, moving fast, then stopping dead. No heat signature, no exhaust plume. You see one shape that burns into your memory, a sphere encasing a cube. Your wingman almost collides with it. It passes between 2 aircraft flying close formation. He has to break away. 1 second later and he's dead.
You file reports over and over, hazard to navigation, near mid-air collision. Your commanders listen, but nothing changes.
The objects keep appearing. You're not scared, you're angry. These things are operating in military airspace inside your training range, and nobody can tell you what they are. You deploy overseas. The objects stop. You return home. They're back.
It's not random. It means something. And whatever it means, the government isn't saying.
Level 5. The witness who talks. You've left active duty. Civilian now. You can stay quiet, protect your reputation, move on with your life. Or you can speak.
Fravor spoke. Dietrich spoke. So you step forward too. You testify before Congress. You talk about the cube and the sphere, the daily encounters, the near misses, the objects that outperform every aircraft in the U.S. inventory. You say what pilots aren't supposed to say out loud, that these things are real. They're in our airspace, and we don't understand them. The media grabs hold of it. News segments, podcasts, interviews, headlines. Former Navy pilot says UFOs pose a threat. Online, the skeptics come fast. Radar glitch, camera artifact, bird, balloon, classified U.S. tech, Chinese platform, Russian spoofing. You hear every theory. You ignore most of them. Because this isn't internet entertainment to you. It's flight safety, it's national security, and it's the one thing you've seen that still doesn't fit into any known box.
Level 6. The Pentagon response. For years, the government laughs at this topic in public and studies it in private. Then the language changes. UFO becomes UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena.
More official, more sterile, easier to brief in a hearing room. Pentagon offices are created, renamed, expanded. Reports are collected. Videos are released. Officials admit there are cases they cannot explain. That should be a historic moment. It should shake the world. Instead, it lands with a shrug, because the footage is grainy, the statements are careful, the conclusions are vague. They admit the phenomenon is real, but they stop just short of saying what that means. Not alien, not ours, not foreign, just unresolved. And somehow that's worse. Because now you know this wasn't all in your head. The system saw it too. The system tracked it. The system documented it. And still the answer is silence, dressed up as transparency. Level 7. The file drop. Then the news explodes again. New Pentagon files, new public pressure, new promises of disclosure, declassified reports from decades of sightings, radar logs, pilot statements, internal memos. The public floods in, looking for the smoking gun. Some people think this is the moment everything changes, but you've been around long enough to know how this works. The files confirm the mystery. They don't solve it. Some pages are compelling. Some are useless. Some are so redacted they might as well be blank. The public argues for days, maybe weeks. Believers say this proves contact. Skeptics say it proves nothing. Cable news milks it. Social media turns it into clips, memes, and tribal warfare. But you notice something else. The best material still isn't there. The clearest footage, the clean sensor fusion, the detailed intelligence context, missing, always missing. Enough to keep the fire alive, never enough to put it out. Level 8. The hearing room. You're sitting under bright lights in front of lawmakers who suddenly care about something they mocked for years. They ask careful questions in careful tones. What did you see? How did it move? Did it show hostile intent? Could it belong to a foreign adversary? You answer calmly, professionally, the same way you would in a cockpit. You explain that trained military aviators are seeing objects with extraordinary performance characteristics. You explain that these encounters are frequent enough to matter and strange enough to investigate. Then someone asks the obvious question. If this isn't ours and it isn't theirs,
What is it? And the room goes still, because that's the one question nobody can answer.
Not the pilots, not the Pentagon, not the intelligence agencies, not the politicians pretending they have control. For one moment, the most powerful government on Earth sounds like a man hearing footsteps in the dark. Level 9. The cost. People think seeing something extraordinary would be exciting. It's not. Not after the first few days. After that, it becomes a weight, a splinter in your mind. Because you don't just see a mystery, you carry it. You replay the movement, the angles, the acceleration, the missing logic. You wonder if it was watching you, too.
You wonder what else has been seen and buried. You wonder how many pilots stayed silent because they knew exactly what happens to people who talk. Careers stall, reputations crack, friends get awkward.
The internet turns you into content. Some call you brave, some call you delusional, some call you part of a psyop, and none of them were there. None of them felt that moment when something impossible entered your world and made your training feel small. Level 10. The truth you never get. Years pass. The headlines fade again. Another war, another scandal, another election. The world moves on like it always does. But at night, you still go back to that sky, to that object, to that split second where reality stopped behaving the way reality is supposed to behave.
Was it alien? Secret technology? A breakthrough from a rival nation? Something older? Something already here? You'll probably die without knowing. That's the part nobody tells you.
The worst thing about seeing the Pentagon UFO isn't fear. It isn't danger. It isn't even what you saw. It's that you got close enough to the biggest mystery on Earth to know it's real, and not close enough to ever understand it. This is the Pentagon UFO story. Not a movie, not a meme, not a blurry light over a backyard. A military encounter. Multiple sensors, multiple witnesses, multiple years, and still no answer.
Just a sky full of questions, and a government that keeps opening the door 1 inch at a time, terrified of what happens if it ever opens all the way.